So this is a very personal topic for me, and it's kind of troubling just because of how widespread it is, just how common this thing really is. And I'll probably have to pause a lot, so just bear with me here. I was never a girl who put much effort into her looks. I didn't take the time to do makeup or put together a nice outfit. I mean, if I brushed my hair, I was feeling good that day. I mean, and when I was young, people would compliment me on how thin I was. So I kind of seemed like the last person who would develop body image issues, but I did. I don't know when it started. Even as a young kid, I was always aware of the size of my stomach, and I don't know how I learned that that was something to worry about. Probably because so many people do, and it rubs off on you. I was able to live with it though, just every now and then kind of stopping and taking a too close of a look in the mirror at my stomach. And it wasn't until my depression really got bad that these issues developed. I think it's easy for me to say, oh yeah, I suffer from depression, without going into the details of it, of what that really meant for me, what I have experienced. And this is one of the more painful aspects, and that is how much I hated my body. Like this piece of flesh that has done nothing but work its hardest to try and keep me alive, and it's something that deserves love, but I hated it. And it started because of my stomach. Because everyone wants a flat stomach. I mean, it's just how it is. And of course, no one will really tell you that it's not really possible because of the sheer amount of organs that are in your stomach area, not just your stomach, but particularly for those who have a uterus, because your uterus like leans up and creates just that small little pouch there, or whatever you want to call it. And it's the most natural thing in the world, and yet here we are trying to get rid of it. At one point, I couldn't wear t-shirts. I had to wear snugger fitting shirts, because if I wore looser shirts, I could feel the fabric rubbing up against my stomach, and I thought that meant that my stomach was just too big. And it was something I was incredibly self-conscious about. I would suck in my stomach as I walked a lot. And doing that over time can cause problems just because you're not breathing in enough air. Because your diaphragm's down there in your stomach area, and that's what expands and lets the oxygen that you need to live come in. And that was just a completely natural thing for my body to do, and I tried to suppress my normal breathing pattern, and that was the main issue. But it wasn't just that. There was one point when I was a sophomore where I ended up shaving all the hair off my arms. Like, nobody really does that. So why I thought I needed to, I don't really have any idea, other than I was self-conscious, and I thought it was like the ugliest thing in the world. And I was self-conscious about my face too, even though I was never one to put on a lot of makeup. I'd look in the mirror and I'd see the bags under my eyes, the wrinkles in my forehead, the acne, and just hate all of it. And it sounds horrible, but at the time, I didn't see an eating disorder as a bad thing. I remember wishing that I could be strong enough contemplating after every meal whether I should trigger my gag reflex and bring it back up or not. Feeling guilty about how much I was eating. And I never did develop an eating disorder, and I think the only reason for that is because my anxiety at being caught, I guess. And I didn't want to raise any alarm flags in other people. At the time, I guess I wanted someone to know I was suffering, but I was ashamed of it, I guess. And so I did my best to keep it all hidden to myself. And that's the really hard thing about this. Just to keep in all that pain and self-hate, it starts to destroy you after a while. And body image issues are so common. I mean, how many people actually like their body? I mean, a majority of people out there wish they were thinner, taller, shorter, curvier, prettier. And it's not just an exclusively female thing either. I know a lot of the emphasis goes on just girls wanting to be pretty, but I know what happens with guys too. And I mean, no matter where you look, there's a lot of unrealistic standards set for the both of us. We see women with perfectly flat stomachs, photoshopped to absolute perfection, just unrecognizable. And you see guys just completely ripped and muscular, and you start to think that's the norm when it's not. And in reality, hating my body did nothing good for me. It only led me further down that path of being in pain, self-conscious, insecure. And it was really by starting to call myself a feminist and take on these feminist values that I started to feel better about myself. That I really started to believe every body was beautiful, even mine. And it was a hard thing for me to accept that I shouldn't have to worry about the way I look. After doing it for so long, I guess it just becomes second nature to you. And it's really hard for me to hear other people's looks being criticized, because that just takes me back to that time of my life that I hated my body so much. And I wish I could go back in time and just apologize to my body for hating it so much. It's a wonderful thing. It performs so many necessary for life tasks. It keeps my heart beating, my lungs breathing, the blood running through my veins. And it's kind of ridiculous in a way to think of someone's body as not as good as or less beautiful because of some trivial reason like the way it looks. And it really is trivial. And that's just what I had to learn to accept, that it didn't matter, that whether I measured up to society's standards of beauty didn't matter, because my body is beautiful just for existing and continuing to fight to keep me alive. And I think that's really the way we should look at it. That your body's there, even if it has problems fighting to stay alive, even if there's like something like a heart condition or something more visible, like I guess like a missing limb. That body is trying no less than the rest of ours, and it's no less beautiful, no matter what your looks are, no matter what problem or condition you have that you may think your body is not as beautiful as everyone else's. I can promise you, you are wrong. That you don't have to fit society's standards, because frankly, they're impossible. And I know it's hard. It was hard for me to give up what I thought was true, that my body just wasn't as good as everyone else's because of the way it looked. But the longer I told myself that my body was beautiful and wonderful just the way it is, the more I started to believe it.